Oh, hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be baking an apple pie. And guys, I made this like a month or two ago, and here's a picture. It was a really good pie. I've made a bunch of apple pies in the past, but I've only used this recipe one other time, and it was that time. So yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I do want to point out first that I usually see amazing results with the pie crust if you prepare it the day before. There's a bunch of reasons for doing this, but you know, obviously we're dealing with flour. When you overwork flour, you develop the gluten strands. By letting it rest in the fridge, it kind of relaxes those strands so they become easier to, or the dough becomes easier to roll out. Also, when it comes to flakiness, the butter, you want the chunks of butter to stay cold, which will ultimately result in a flakier crust with all the laminations and the layers. There's a lot of debate about if a pie crust should be all butter or if it's okay to do shortening or a butter shortening hybrid kind of pie crust. I personally gravitate towards a shortening butter pie crust, but today it's gonna be all butter. I recently came across this pie crust and I found that the dough rolled out really nicely. So I'll run through what supplies you need. A food processor will ensure that you're kind of mixing everything together properly and evenly. Obviously a rolling pin to roll out the dough. And I have a clear 9-inch pie plate, I don't know. I would definitely recommend starting out that you have a glass pie plate. The reason being, we don't want a soggy bottom. Obviously, if it's glass, you could look under to see if it's cooked all the way through. And okay, some prep for the crust. You'll need about 6 to 8 tablespoons of iced water, like really, really cold water. So I just put 8 ice cubes in a small bowl of water. I usually do this in the beginning so the water could reach that cold temperature. And I just pop it in the fridge and I'll grab it when I need her. Okay, let's get started, guys. So we have all-purpose flour in here. Like the other videos I put out, I always talk about the importance of fluffing up the flour. Although the recipe does call for 2.5 cups, we're going to separate them slightly and start off with 1.5 cups. Okay, and then we're leveling it with the side of the spoon, putting it in the bowl, and then 1/2 cup. Okay, then we're adding the salt, and they say this is optional, but I'm adding 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. So it does say to put these ingredients in the food processor and just pulse it a few times. I find that with mine, if you pulse this mixture, a lot of flour will come out of the sides even though it's closed. And so I like to just take it and put it in a bowl and then mix it with like a small little whisk here. And so we have our food processor here, and I'm just pouring that flour. And now we'll grab our butter. This is 1 cup, and in the recipe it does call for cubes of butter. So all cubed here, we'll put it all in the food processor. So I'm just gonna pulse only for a short period of time, just until there's like a bit of like a formation or paste. So we're just gonna pulse it a little bit. Oop, see, do you see the flour? That's what I mean. So this is so funny. So I pulse it a few times because obviously the flour is like still running free and it's not attached to any of the butter. So I just want to show you, and also be careful guys because the blade is extremely sharp. I usually see if I need to scrape any butter. Okay guys, this is what they were talking about. So once you see this, I stop completely. So I'm just taking a spatula and I'm gonna reintroduce or redistribute, not reintroduce, the dough like that. Then we'll grab the other cup of flour. Okay, cup of flour, just around. And we're gonna pulse it until everything looks kind of crummy. Okay, I know this looks questionable. I get it, guys. We're gonna take this, put it in a separate bowl. So this is when you would grab your iced water. Now, the amount of ice water that you put in is really gonna depend on, you know, what's happening at the moment. So the recipe says to pour 4 tablespoons of ice cold water. So that's 2, 3, and 4. We'll start out with 4 and then we'll see if that's okay. So they say to take 2 spatulas and kind of press the mixture onto itself. I like to push the mix to the side of the bowl, and I am using a firmer kind of spatula here, so it really helps. So what you need to do is look at 2 pieces of dough, pinch them together. If they stay together, that's the perfect consistency. So for example, I made this recipe a month ago, like I was saying, and I used all 8 tablespoons. This time I only used 4. So it all really depends on the mixture at that moment. And so I'm just grabbing my scale because I'm like that. And I'm just grabbing some cling wrap here. So you have your ball over here. Try to make a ball. Okay, cute. Put it down. I like to weigh it, so it's 631. Just so I know exactly how much half is, because we need to split this ball in half. Now at this point you want to form these into discs. I'm going to push it down. I like to keep my discs relatively flat just because when you unravel it after, you'll kind of already be halfway rolling the dough. And I just put the other one on some cling wrap because we're going to do the same. Okay, second one here. We'll see what happens. We're gonna let them cool overnight in the fridge, so I will join you guys tomorrow to make the actual filling, roll out the dough, and then complete the pie. So I'm a little nervous, you know, again, you won't know how the dough rolls out until you actually do it, but I do find that the chilling process overnight does help with the rolling, so fingers crossed, guys. Okay, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day. You know, last night, because I edited the first portion of this video, I think I might have overmixed the dough. And I watched, there's a video that's attached to this recipe, and I think I overworked it. So for next time, I'll definitely work it less. I don't know if y'all feel this way too, but sometimes if it's too like flaky or shaggy, the rolling out process is a bit difficult. So then you want to add more water so it comes together, but then when you do that, you lose the flakiness when it's actually baked. I don't know. You need a perfect in-between for a crust. So our dough has been chilling overnight. It is time to roll out the dough. So you just need a little bit of flour. I'll probably need more than this, but you want to try at this point not to introduce more flour into this dough. It's difficult because obviously when you roll it out with a rolling pin, it does stick to the surface. So you really just want to put enough that it doesn't stick. So I'm lightly flouring this surface here. Guys, I'm nervous. Okay, putting the dough there and just putting a little bit of flour on top. So at this point, obviously you just removed it from the fridge, so it works to just hit the dough a little bit. So it's a little bit too firm. So we're gonna actually just let it sit for another 5 minutes. And actually guys, we're on the floor. But I just wanna show you guys what I usually do when I'm preparing to cook a pie. Specifically fruit pies. Fruits hold on to a lot of water. So when you cook it, it releases that moisture and then you tend to get overflowing situations. Usually it's advised to put another pan underneath your pie on the second rack. My oven is not good at temperature distribution. I have found that when I put a pan right under the pie, the bottom doesn't cook thoroughly. So what I do, I take some foil and I just put a layer just under the element, I guess. So my element, it just lifts up a little bit. And so I just take a sheet and I just put it in like that. Okay, let's assess the dough now. Oh my God, my camera was falling, oh my gosh. This does take a lot of patience. Make sure when you're rolling it, constantly move it off the surface, just because even though it's floured, you'll find that when you get really thin, that the dough will start sticking. Oh my God, this is gonna be a nightmare. I'm already seeing cracks, guys. See, now I just have this, is it a dough cutter? I lightly flour it just to release the dough from the bottom, because now we're sticking a little bit. You know, I'm really hoping, guys, that I'll have enough like in the middle that these cracks, it won't even matter. I might have to patch up like this deep one over here, but we'll see, guys. We're getting close, guys. I forgot to mention that I have this metal kind of adjustable rolling pin here, and they come with these like rings, so you could take them on and off depending how thick your crust is. So the recipe says that it needs to be about 1/8 of an inch. This ensures when I'm rolling it, if these rings are touching the surface, that we're about at the 1/8 of an inch. I still, to this day, don't know how people roll out their dough so nicely. And I'm obviously doing something wrong. Okay, so I'm just here looking to see if the green ring is hitting the bottom of the counter. And it is. I think we could work with this. I know I'm probably gonna have to patch that. Just take your pie plate and then see if it's gonna fit. People usually use a strategy of putting the dough on the rolling pin. That often ends in my crust breaking. I'm going for it, guys. Not terrible. Again, I'm just gonna have to patch a few spots, but we're looking okay. At this point, I'm just gonna take my scissors. You wanna leave about 1/2 inch. I usually try to patch these holes. I know this isn't proper, guys, but this is what I do because, you know, it's hard to get like a perfect crust and have it not leak all over the place. I think it should be okay. So what you're gonna do, take your cling wrap, and you want this to go back in the fridge for at least 20 minutes. And during those 20 minutes, that's when we're going to make the filling. Just wrapping it and making sure that you're pushing the cling wrap onto the dough. This will help retain the moisture of the crust. We'll go back in the fridge. Okay, this is when things get interesting. So I'm just preheating the oven to 425, and I have all my ingredients all prepped here. So we're at the stove top. Okay, I was very skeptical of this method, but honestly, I don't know what it is, the consistency, the taste. You just need to grab your butter. This is 8 tablespoons, just putting it in the pan, and then you need to melt this completely. So I'm just putting it on medium heat. So I would suggest at this point, make sure you have all the ingredients prepared for this portion, just because when you're kind of mixing, you need to add everything right after each other. So once the butter melts, we're gonna add the flour, we're gonna add the water, then add the sugar. So just have all those, you know, together, and make sure you have a whisk handy. Usually when I'm kind of waiting for this to happen, I go and peel the apples. So I am using Granny Smith. The apples at the grocery store, guys, they were not good. So a lot of bruising. Do we care? I don't think we care. So yeah, I'm just gonna start peeling, but still keeping an eye on the stovetop. The amount of apples you want is about 2.5 pounds, which is roughly 6 to 7 apples. And after, you want to thinly slice them. So I'm just prepping them on the cutting board. Do you see that? There's a ton more with these apples. I can already see it. Like, look at that. Oh, bad timing to buy apples. Okay, I'm just gonna finish peeling this apple, and then we're gonna head back to the stove. I can already smell the melted butter. I don't know, guys. Butter is just a fantastic smell and flavor. Ooh, oh my God. I'm like panicking because I can hear now the butter doing its thing. It's doing its thing. Okay, all melted here. So what you're gonna do is take your whisk, take your flour over here, mixing constantly. So you wanna keep whisking, and you want to do this for about a minute. Okay, perfect, guys. So now we're adding our 4th cup of water and our cup of sugar. So this is when it's gonna look a little funny, guys, and that's fine. Make sure you mix it all together. So we're still on medium heat. We need to bring this to a boil. And then after that, we're just gonna reduce the heat and simmer it for about 3 minutes. So while we wait, let's continue with the apples. I usually gravitate towards Granny Smith. I've used Cortland apples in the past. Those are good to use for pies or baking in general. It looks like our mix is now boiling, so we're just gonna put the heat a bit lower. Unlike when we were adding the flour, the water and sugar, we don't need to mix constantly, but frequently. Just making sure that there's no burning. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes, so we're just gonna turn off the heat, put it aside. And so, let's go and chop some of these apples. Have a bowl handy. She's off screen, but she's next to the sink here. Just to make things easy, I just cut around the core. I had a weird accident with a apple core, so I don't use it. And they do say thinly sliced, but I'm not sure how thin they want it. I'm just taking out the top crust just to let it sit out a little bit. Okay, weighing these peeled and cut apples, it comes to about 2 pounds. I think the recipe says 2 1/4. And I mean, based on the picture, I think they use a deeper pie dish. So I'm gonna stick with the 2 pounds. Then you're just gonna take your cinnamon, sprinkle it over, and then mix it together. And yes, guys, I bought new cinnamon, so it's not expired or it's not old cinnamon. Okay, just making sure that, you know, it's all fully mixed together. Alrighty, now we're gonna take this and we're just gonna put it over the apples. Okay. So all mixed together. We're gonna work on our second crust. So lightly flouring everything, rolling pin. So I'm gonna do a lattice. I don't traditionally do a lattice. I did it last time and it turned out, so. And we're sticking with the 1/8 of an inch thickness. Okay, how are we looking thickness-wise? I think we're okay. People usually recommend a pizza cutter, but we're gonna use just a kitchen knife here. We wanna do 10 strips. Okay, I made a boo-boo. We're gonna do this one as the last one. Oh God, okay. Okay, this isn't part of the recipe, but I usually mix about a tablespoon of water and 1 egg. And I basically like putting a layer of egg wash on the bottom of the pie. I don't know if that's proper, but it'll prevent a soggy bottom. And I know people blind bake, like you could also do that as well. But yeah, we're gonna do that for now. So we have our pie crust that has been chilling in the fridge. God, y'all really can't see anything. Okay. Okay, just putting a layer of egg. Okay, save that egg because we're gonna need it for the top part of the crust. We're taking our apples, guys, and putting it in. You'll find when you bake pies, you'll usually have like a big mound. That's okay, guys, because as you cook it, the pie will flatten a little bit. So this looks like it's perfect. It looks so cute, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is the scary part. And we're just gonna start here. So we're gonna start off going 5 one way. Oh my God, oh my God, the crust is breaking into the sink. Oh my gosh. Putting about 5, but alternating 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off. Okay, so we're gonna start. Take your strip, put at the end here, and then we're just gonna put it over like that. And then flip that one, Put that one over, flip that one that way, put that one this way, and we're just gonna continue. Okay. It looks funny. Oh my god, it's diagonal. I think I like slanted a lot of them. I think she looks hilarious. What I'm going to do, I'm just gonna use a fork because the last time I tried to do something with the crust, it was too thick and it didn't cook all the way through. So I'm just gonna take a fork and we're just going to press the crust together. But before that, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting so many steps. I like to make sure we tuck the extra inch that we had before. Oh my god, this is so uneven, guys. How do we feel? Do you know what? All that matters is that it tastes good. I think it looks hilarious, but we're just gonna do it. Okay, and before you put it in, you wanna do an egg wash on top. Hey guys, just to make sure, you know, the crust is cooked at the bottom, we're gonna keep it at 425. After 15 minutes, we're reducing to 350. So, just grabbing the pie, guys, and we're putting it in. Okay.
15 minutes, starting now.
Okay, so we're gonna reduce it to 350 after 15 minutes, and then bake for about 45 minutes to an hour, is that it? 45 minutes. So I will join you guys after, and hopefully it all turns out. Okay, one more thing that I forgot to mention. You'll find with pies that the crust will tend to brown a lot quicker. In this case, you want to make kind of a foil shield or a foil tent. And you basically just take a piece of foil, you wrap it around the edges just so that part doesn't burn and just to minimize the browning in general. It always depends, but I tend to put the foil when I have 30 minutes to go. So at this point, the pie was in the oven for 15 minutes at 425 and then 15 minutes for 350. Okay guys, we're here. I'm a little scared. I'm hoping that the crust has cooked all the way through. And there's been a bunch of overflow when it comes to the juices in the pie, which again, I said is normal. Thankfully, it got all caught in the foil. So let's take a look. Whoa, okay. I'm just grabbing it, oh God. Okay guys, so she's a bit brown on the edges. I think I put the foil tent a little bit too late. Guys, it smells so good right now. Oh my gosh. So we just need this to sit out for another hour and then we'll do the taste test. I am really excited. I looked at the bottom, the crust looks pretty good. Like it's not pale white, meaning some of the juices have broken through the crust. So that's really exciting. So yeah. And future Kevin here. So I didn't realize, but my mic was totally dead, the one that was attached to me. So I'm just gonna explain what's happening. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. So I don't have a soggy bottom. The crust is cooked all the way. Let's take a slice. Oh yeah, I also say that like when I eat pies, I need like a quarter of the pie. I can't eat an eighth, it needs to be a quarter. So there we are. And I broke a little bit of the crust, but look, it's cooked, guys. It's cooked. So good. Okay, I'm gonna show you again. Totally cooked except for the part that I ripped off. And I'm just showing you more of the crust. It's great. I'm trying to show you like that it's like not totally laminated, and now I'm trying it. And oh girl, mama, it's so good. Oh, I'm just eating more. Yes, queen. Okay. Oh my God, I look like a hamster. Oh my God. Okay, so you could kind of see the layers there. It's not perfect, but like decent. Okay, guys, I guess that's it. Yeah, you know what? I was saying that I would try to not work the dough so much so the lamination would be okay. More chunks in the whatever in the pie crust, and this is when I noticed it's dead. I am shook. Okay guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it to the very end, thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.